Louisville, Kentucky, 1966. The rain pelted down on the windows of Cassius Clay's childhood home, where Muhammad Ali now sat in contemplative silence. The heavyweight champion of the world stared at the official letter in his hands, the government seal glaring back at him like an accusation. Outside, reporters had already begun to gather, their cameras ready to capture whatever would unfold next in the champion's increasingly complicated life. "They want me to fight for them, but they won't fight for me," Ali whispered to himself, the letter trembling slightly in his grasp. The United States Selective Service System had reclassified him as 1A, making him eligible for the draft and military service in Vietnam. Ali's mother entered the room, her eyes filled with worry. "What are you going to do, my son?" she asked, her voice barely audible above the drumming of rain. Ali stood up, his 6'3" frame casting a long shadow across the worn carpet of his childhood home. "I'm going to stand by my beliefs, Mama, no matter what it costs me." The next morning, the sun broke through the clouds as Ali stepped before a crowd of reporters. Camera flashes exploded around him like lightning as he made his now famous declaration, "I ain't got no quarrel with them Viet Cong." His words sent shockwaves through America. In the days that followed, the government's position hardened. Ali received a phone call from a high-ranking official in Washington who spoke in hushed, urgent tones. "Mr. Clay," the official said, deliberately using Ali's birth name rather than his Muslim name. "My name is Muhammad Ali," he corrected firmly. The official cleared his throat. "Mr. Ali, then, I'm calling to offer you a proposition. The government is willing to offer you a full pardon. You won't have to fight on the front lines. We'll arrange for you to perform exhibition matches for the troops. Your record will remain clean. All you need to do is serve." If this story has made you feel something already, however small, don't leave without giving back. Comment and tell me where you're watching this video from and subscribe to the channel. Ali's response was immediate. "I won't do it. I won't be used as a tool to make war look good." "You understand what this means?" the official pressed. "You'll lose your title. You could face 5 years in prison. Your career will be over." Ali looked out the window at the American flag waving in the distance. "I answer to a higher power. I'll face whatever comes." On April 28, 1967, Muhammad Ali reported to the Armed Forces Induction Center in Houston. When his name was called, he refused to step forward. The consequences were swift and severe. Within hours, the New York State Athletic Commission suspended his boxing license and stripped him of his title. The other boxing commissions followed suit. Ali knew the fight ahead would be the hardest of his life, not in the ring, but in the courts and in the court of public opinion. What no one understood yet was that this stance would transform him from a controversial sports figure into a global icon for peace and principle. Summer heat blanketed the nation as Muhammad Ali's legal battle intensified. His once abundant wealth had begun to evaporate. The luxurious mansion he'd purchased in Chicago now felt like a museum of better days. The gleaming Cadillac, parked in his driveway, a $5,000 testament to his success, sat mostly unused as he navigated public transportation to save money. Ali sat in the plush leather chair of his attorney's office on Michigan Avenue, surrounded by million-dollar views of Lake Michigan. His lawyer, Chauncey Eskridge, a man who commanded $500 an hour for his expertise, pushed a document across the mahogany desk worth more than what most Americans earned in a month. "The government has made another offer," Eskridge said, his gold cufflinks catching the light as he pointed to the signature line. "This is unprecedented, Muhammad. They're offering to let you serve in a non-combat role. You could tour military bases, entertain the troops, be a special ambassador. You'd never see combat." Ali picked up the fountain pen, a Mont Blanc that probably cost $200, but didn't uncap it. "They're trying to buy me with comfort," he said quietly. "How many million-dollar endorsement deals have I lost already? 20? 30? Eskridge nodded solemnly. The financial toll is astronomical. Your earning potential was estimated at over $5 million for the next few years alone. Through the window, Ali could see a yacht worth at least $2 million gliding across Lake Michigan, a symbol of the kind of wealth and freedom he was sacrificing. "My principles aren't for sale," he said, pushing the document away. "Not for $5 million, not for $50 million. That evening, Ali was invited to dinner at the home of a wealthy supporter, a real estate magnate whose penthouse apartment featured original artwork worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Crystal chandeliers hung from ceilings so high they seemed to touch the heavens. The dinner plates alone were rimmed with genuine gold. The magnate raised his $1,000 bottle of champagne to Muhammad Ali, a man who gave up millions for what he believes in. The guests, celebrities, business tycoons with collective wealth exceeding $1 billion, applauded politely. But Ali felt disconnected from their admiration. These were people who would never have to make the choices he faced. Later that night, in a quiet moment on the millionaire's balcony overlooking the city lights, a government representative approached Ali again. The man wore a custom-tailored suit that probably cost $3,000 and spoke with the confidence of someone accustomed to getting his way. "The president himself has taken an interest in your case," the man said, his voice low. "There's a $10 million exhibition contract waiting for you if you reconsider, plus guaranteed protection from the front lines." Ali looked at the man steadily. "You think because I'm from the poor part of Louisville, I can be bought? My soul isn't for sale, and neither is my dignity." The consequences continued to mount. Ali's passport was confiscated, preventing him from fighting overseas where he might have earned millions. His case dragged through the courts while he struggled financially. The 3.5 years of his prime fighting career slipped away. Years worth untold millions in lost revenue. Yet even as his bank accounts dwindled, something else was growing, his standing as a man of unshakable principle. Letters of support, tens of thousands of them, poured in from around the world. College students, civil rights activists, and peace advocates rallied behind him. The man who had lost everything material was gaining something priceless. By 1969, Muhammad Ali's legal battle had consumed nearly all his resources. The grand champion who once commanded $50,000 purses for a single fight now earned his living giving speeches at colleges for $500 a pop. The contrast was stark, speaking to students in modest auditoriums when he should have been defending his title in sold-out arenas with million-dollar gates. On a crisp autumn day, Ali arrived at a small university in the Midwest. The campus was a far cry from the luxury hotels where he once stayed. His transportation was no longer a chauffeur-driven limousine, but a second-hand Chevrolet worth perhaps $1,000. As he prepared to address the students, a messenger delivered yet another government communication. This time the offer was more subtle. A private contractor with ties to the defense industry, a company that received contracts worth hundreds of millions, was offering Ali a position as a cultural consultant with a salary of $150,000 annually. "They're getting creative," Ali remarked to his friend Howard Bingham, who had remained loyal throughout his ordeal. "Next, they'll offer me stock options worth $1 million in companies that make the bombs they drop on Vietnam." The auditorium was packed with 2,000 students who had each paid $3 to hear him speak, a sum that would barely cover his travel expenses. Yet when Ali took the stage, he spoke with the same passion he once brought to championship fights. "They offered me deals worth more money than most people see in a lifetime," he told the rapt audience. "But I asked myself, how can I condemn other black men to fight in a war against people who never called me nigger? How can I help destroy the homes of people who look like my ancestors? No amount of gold medals, no million-dollar mansions can make that right. The students rose to their feet, their applause thunderous. In that moment, Ali understood something profound. While he had lost his championship belt, studded with diamonds worth thousands, he had gained something far more valuable, a platform to speak truth to power. Later that evening, a wealthy alumnus invited Ali to his mansion, a $20 million estate with an indoor swimming pool and private tennis courts. Over dinner served on fine china by uniformed staff, the conversation turned to Ali's financial struggles. "I have connections," the alumnus said, swirling 12-year-old scotch in a crystal tumbler. "One phone call, and I could arrange a 7-figure book deal for your life story. Another call, and there's a movie contract worth twice that. All it would take is a public statement saying you've reconsidered your position on the war." Ali looked around at the opulent surroundings, the original paintings by masters, the antique furniture worth hundreds of thousands, and felt a moment of temptation. His family was struggling, his resources were dwindling. But then he remembered the faces of the students who had stood for him that afternoon. "My story isn't finished yet," he said simply, "and when it is, it won't be about a man who sold out." Through 1970 and into 1971, as his case made its way to the Supreme Court, Ali lived modestly while the world around him seemed obsessed with wealth and status. The boxing world had moved on without him, crowning new champions who earned purses of millions while he struggled to make ends meet. Yet something remarkable was happening. In cities across America and around the world, people were beginning to see Ali not as a draft dodger, but as a principled objector. The tide of public opinion was shifting, much like the tide of opinion about the war itself. What had once seemed unpatriotic now appeared prophetic. June 28, 1971. The morning dawned clear and bright in Washington. D.C. Muhammad Ali stood on the steps of the Supreme Court building, his eyes fixed on the imposing marble facade. Inside those walls, 8 justices had unanimously decided in his favor, overturning his conviction for draft evasion. "The highest court in the land," Ali murmured to himself, "and they say justice has no price." But Ali knew better. The cost had been tallied in years, 3.5 years of his prime fighting career gone forever. The financial toll was staggering, estimated at $10 million in lost earnings, the equivalent of perhaps 100 million in today's currency. As reporters gathered around him, microphones thrust forward like weapons, Ali spoke without bitterness. "I sacrificed perhaps $10 million, but I have my dignity. And that's worth more than all the gold in Fort Knox." The journey back to the ring would not be easy. Boxing commissions that had been quick to strip him of his license were slow to reinstate it. When he finally returned to professional boxing in October 1971, Ali was no longer the undefeated champion. His first major fight back against Joe Frazier ended in his first professional defeat, yet the story of Muhammad Ali had transcended sports. He had become a symbol of something greater, a man who had stood against the full might of the United States government and remained true to his convictions. In the years that followed, as Ali reclaimed his heavyweight title and became one of the wealthiest athletes in the world, eventually amassing a fortune of over $100 million, he never forgot the years in the wilderness, the years when he chose principle over prosperity. On a warm evening in 1996, nearly 30 years after his original stand, Ali stood trembling from Parkinson's disease as he lit the Olympic flame in Atlanta. The man who had once been America's most controversial athlete was now one of its most beloved icons. The television rights for that Olympic ceremony alone were worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Corporate sponsors had paid billions to associate themselves with the Olympic spirit. Yet the most powerful moment, the one that brought tears to millions of eyes worldwide, was priceless. the sight of Muhammad Ali, whose greatest victory had come not in the ring, but in the realm of human dignity. In his later years, despite having a net worth of $50 million, Ali often said that his wealthiest moment was that day in Houston when he refused to step forward, when he risked everything rather than compromise his beliefs. Muhammad Ali's legacy transcends sports, transcends politics, and even transcends the man himself. It stands as a testament to the power of principle, a reminder that some things cannot be bought, no matter how many millions are offered. The government had offered him wealth, fame, and comfort in exchange for his principles. They had dangled before him opportunities worth millions of dollars. They had threatened him with prison and poverty, and Muhammad Ali, the man who once proclaimed himself the greatest, proved it not by what he accomplished with his fists, but by what he refused to do with his conscience. If you've made it this far and felt every word, don't leave without subscribing. I tell these stories with my heart in my hand to reach people like you who feel, who get emotional, who live. If this truly touched you, give back, comment, subscribe, come be part of this family with me until the next video.